day to you, viewers of Sararights TV. Whatever you could be getting the airwaves of the TV from, I would like to say thank you so much for being part of the biggest TV in Arua City. Of course, this is the time for sports. My name is Senior Geroh, the host of the show. So in the world of sports, so many stories that I will be discussing with you. Remember, the biggest one is in the country. Finally, the transfer window has been open in Uganda, so you can be in position to add players into your system, whether it be in the 5th Division League, whether it be in the 4th Division League, whether it be in the Regional League, Big League, and sometimes Uganda Premier League. There, you can be in position to add players into the system, and that's something that I think most of the clubs are not that aware about. I feel it's very, very important for me to let you know about that in there. And then in Arua, there's a big one for Leo FC fanatics. Of course, the biggest one is the proprietor of Leo FC. I'm talking about Walter Moses has finally secured the services of Tiger Stars, which soon will be rebranding to Leo FC. Remember, it has been 2 years of absence for Leo FC. From that actual elimination from the zonals in Nebi, 2 years ago, the team has finally got another club, and the club that I'm talking about is Tiger Stars, and the club will be rebranding to Leo FC. I can tell you, there are a lot of players who are currently gearing up actually for this team. Of course, they are saying that they really wanted to join Leo FC, and they are badly in need of joining this team. And I can confirm to you that this is going to be one of the biggest things for the players in Arua, in Arua DFA. Of course, Walter Moses works with the DFA of Arua, and it's very, very paramount that he needed to have a team to represent him in that perspective. Of course, working in the DFA or in the FUFA system, you really needed to have a team that you are attached to. So finally, he has secured the services of Tiger Stars. But the biggest one is where the club will be playing the games. Of course, we all know Tiger Stars has been playing the games at Barifa Stadium, so it remains to be seen whether this team will be playing their games at the Salim Saleh. Of course, Leo FC in the previous seasons, they have been known of playing the games at at Salim Saleh Playground down in Mvara. So it still remains to be seen whether Walter Moses will be taking this team to go and play the games in Mvara. That is one of the $1 million questions that every fanatic of Leo FC will be asking himself. Remember, this team has got a great potential. Those years back, of course, if you can remember 2 seasons back, this club was really fighting so hard to see that they go into what we call the big league in there. So they nearly made it through, and the biggest task was to see that this team goes into the sometimes Ghana Premier League, and it was so kind of very, very unfortunate that the team couldn't make it further because of such an inconveniences. Remember, issues to do with the club license was the biggest problem. 2 years down the road, this club has been craving so much to go and play the games in the big league, not the big league as such, but the regional league, and there's been so unfortunate that the team couldn't make their way through into what we call the regional league due to inconveniences when it comes to club licensing. Issues to do with the fake licensing has been the biggest problem. So it still remains to be seen whether the club will still be using their manyangas of adding players into the system illegally. So if Walter Moses and the CEO that will be actually adding to the city, into the team, can be important to improve on that, probably could be seen Leo FC coming back to light. Of course, a number of players have been talking about this team, and the fans are really craving so much to see that this team comes back to light. And I can tell you, Walter Moses has kind of invested so a lot in this team of Leo FC. So it's very, very good initiative that he has kind of bought this club. I'm talking about Tiger Stars to come and play in what we call the 5th Division League in Arua. Of course, Tiger Stars played the games in the 5th Division League in Arua DFA, and Leo FC will not be finally be in attendance next season. Of course, if you're expecting Tiger Stars to be there in the Arua DFA, it will be another Tiger Stars, but I can confirm to you that Leo FC will be, Tiger Stars will be rebranding to Leo FC. Finally, Walter Moses has secured the services of Tiger Stars in $1 million worth ceilings. Okay, that's one of the biggest things for the fans of Leo FC. I was talking about the issue of club licensing in Uganda. Finally, this has been actually opened in there, and then it will be closing down in August. So whether it be in the 5th division league, whether it be in the 4th division league, in the 3rd division league, and in the big league, you are supposed to be active in the transfer market. Remember, the Southern Uganda Premier League has closed, then the big league is closing over the weekend. So teams will be gearing up so much in the transfer market to see that they added a lot of spice into the team. Some of the loopholes they have to go in and add players into the system to see that the teams are good to go in the next season of the competitive games in Uganda. Remember, it has been reported that next season the teams will be actually playing in the new format of the Southern Uganda Premier League that was introduced this year, but it has been scrapped off due to protests from other club chairpersons and the protests from the fans, and it still remains to be seen whether Amagogo will still be sticking to the old format or is to the new format. So we are waiting for the right information to come from the FIFA hubs. Of course, FIFA is the body of sports in Uganda, so it still remains to be seen what will be coming in that perspective. So let me take you through in some of the games that will be coming up in the big league of the weekend. Of course, the games will finally be coming to its actual apex over the weekend, most notably on Saturday. That's when the big league games will finally conclude in Uganda. All the big league games will be concluding in Uganda with a number of cracking fixtures. The other team that will be fighting so hard to survive relegation, those who will be fighting hard to see that they attain promotion back to the Southern Uganda Premier League, they're those that will be fighting so much for the gong. Okay, two teams are currently fighting for the gong in the big league actual league in there. Of course, it's only Brass Power and the Chige's Homeboys who are fighting so hard to win the league. Only those two teams. The rest of the teams are not in the title race anymore. I can tell you, if Brass Power loses their game against Ondupraka on Saturday, definitely, in case Chige's Homeboys win their game over the weekend, you'll be seeing Chige's Homeboys being crowned the champions of the Big League Karma 2026 season. Then it only remains to be seen whether Brass Power can be important to pick a draw against Ondupraka here at our Great System to see that the team also wins the gong in that manner. So let me take you through in the games that will be coming over the weekend, most notably on Saturday. This is when the games will finally come to actually its conclusion on Saturday. Of course, we shall be seeing Bunarunguru United, a separate package in the big league history. Of course, this team came into the big league actually this year, but the team has come with a lot of ego. The team has come with a lot of motivation. The team has kind of improved a lot in there, and then the team will be playing against Karo Karunti. This game will be on Saturday at 4 p.m. Then Nebi Central will be playing against Paida Black Angels in a West Nile Derby, one of the most games that everyone will be actually craving so much to go and watch this game. Of course, this is the last game for Nebi Central Football Club in that greater Aluru Derby. Of course, we term it a greater Aluru Derby, but in West Nile, you can call it in a West. You can call it as a West Nile Derby, but it's going to be a big one in that perspective. Nebi Central will be entertaining by the Black Angels at 4 p.m. at Luo Ground. Then Chinda Boys will be playing against Nduga Sazi. This is another derby down in Kampala. Of course, this is going to be another interesting game to watch in the Ondupraka at Aberdeen Great Stadium. Will be entertaining Brass Power, who are fighting so hard to win the gong of the big league this year. Then Chige's Homeboys will be playing against Katida. This game played at Tigez at Medina Playgrounds down in Kampala. And then Soltiro Bright Stars will be playing against Kataka at 4 p.m. in Maroon Stadium down in Luzera. And then Young Elephants Academy will be playing against Wakto Giants at Elephant Park down in Noya in that actual perspective. Then Mbale Heroes will be playing against Eganga United at Mbale City Stadium down in Mbale District. But it's a district or a city, I don't know. But this is going to be another interesting game to follow in them. But always a very actually chaotic area to go and play games. Of course, I can tell you when Vara Boys was still playing in the Stanbic Uganda Cup, there was a time when we traveled there. I can tell you the atmosphere in Mbale is always very, very chaotic. And Mbale City Stadium is one of the fortress grounds for any club to go in, whether it be in the Southern Uganda Premier League, whether it be in any other league. It's always a very, very hard ground for you to go and pick actually maximum points. So, team Egak United has to be double careful in that game against Mbale Heroes in Mbale City in there. And then in the table standings of the big league currently, I can tell you it's Brass Power who are top in the league with 54 points, followed by Chige's Homeboys who are having 51 points. And then Kataka Ndukasazi third on the log with 50 points, and then Kataka fourth on 48 points. Then the Black Angels fifth on the log with what we call 47 points. Then Bunarunguri United, like I said, they are separate package. They are sixth on the log with 43 points, and then Chinda Boys are seventh on the log with 40 points, and then Young Elephants Academy are eighth on the log. The only biggest team in northern Uganda who are currently making us very proud in the big league is only Young Elephants Academy. They have got 40 points. The 8th on the log, Net Eagle United. They are 9th on the log with 35 points. On the Praka at 10th on the log with 35 points, and then Nebisendro 11th on the log with 34 points. Katida 12th on the log with 34 points. Then Karo Karunti, the 13th on the log with 33 points. Then Chultiro Bright are 14th on the log with 32 points. Wakto Giants have got what we call 31 points. Then Mbale Heroes are 16th on the log with 17 points. This team is officially relegated. Now, other teams that are fighting so hard to survive relegation include Wakto Giants, Bright Stars, Karo Karunji, Katida, and on the Prague Football Club. Not forgetting Nebisendo Football Club. These are the teams that will be fighting so hard to survive relegation. This is going to be another interesting one. So it remains to be seen how this will be transpiring. In case Untupraka and Nebisendro are not relegated in the big league, this is going to be a big one for our Western teams. Of course, the teams will be increasing in the big league. Of course, Calvert has been relegated from the Southern Ghana Premier League. Untupraka will be in there. The Black Angels will still be in there, and then Nebisendo, which will be having a number of teams in Western playing in the big league come 2026-2027 season. Okay, this is something that I think will be so much important. But the challenge in Western has been the issue of hooliganism, the issue of hatred. This has been the biggest challenge in Western. So all these teams will be playing their games in the big league. What will be the reaction from the fans? What will be the preparation level for these teams when it comes to playing the games in there? We have seen fracas happening between Ontopraka and the Royal Hill. We have seen fracas happening between the Blackens and Nebisendro. This will be one of the turning points for our own teams here. We needed to have what we call that actual professionalism in the game of football. These issues of having hooliganism should not be there. Of course, having a number of teams in a common pool or in a common area has a lot of issues. I can tell you the issues of transportation, the issues of player transfer can easily be done at a minimum cost. And these issues of traveling to go and play games in Kampala, in other parts of the country, is kind of very hectic enough for these clubs. So it will minimize some of the expenses that these teams will be spending in the games in there. Of course, in the world of transfers in Uganda, at SC Villa, the Dogos, they are already in talks with Charles Luanga, their captain. They are saying that they wanted to tie him down to a new contract, and his contract with SC Villa has kind of expired already at the end of the season, and he is already in direct contract talks with the SC Villa hierarchy, and the hierarchy is already in high gear that they badly needed to give him another actual offer to see that he still stays put with SC Villa. Of course, SC Villa is looking at his contribution. He has scored a number of goals for them last season, around 6 goals last season in the Southern Ghana Premier League. That was another actually important one to him. I'm talking about Charles Luanga. He has been a darling when he was still at KCC last the other season. When SC Villa actually signed him, he has been one of the pivotal players for SC Villa. He is a top striker, a striker that actually works very, very hard to see that he fights for the badge. And SC Villa are saying that they wanted to actually give thanks back to him of work rate that he has done for this team. And SC Villa are also backing up actually this just because of his experience and his leadership that he's adding into the team. And he has kind of improved the dressing actually room at SC Villa. That's the reason as to why SC Villa is saying that they wanted to actually tie this guy down into a new contract, which I think is going to be one of the most influential figures for SC Villa. I think Charles Luanga as well has got that actual influential power in signing players. The players who actually adore him so much, and they always want to play with him because of his legacy. He has left at KCC, and then at SC Villa, he also wants to leave a remarkable history. That is the reason as to why SC Villa actual hierarchy say that they needed to tie him down to a new contract. and the AC Villa fans are kind of very much actually very much appreciative to his services, and he is said to be signing another 2 years extension at AC Villa. This story has been revealed by NBS Sports. Okay, this is one of the biggest one that I felt I need to let you know. Then international at Liverpool, the big one. The other time I was talking about the issue of the managerial actual role at Liverpool. Final after sacking the head coach, I'm talking about Ancelotti. Liverpool has finally agreed into contract terms with FC Bournemouth. Actually, coach, I'm talking about Antonio Areola. He is going to be signing a 2 years contract with Liverpool, and is expected to be at Anfield for 2 years ahead. Okay, Ancelotti came in at Liverpool from Feyenoord, from Dutch football, and he signed a 2 years contract, and he has finished his season with Liverpool. In his first season with Liverpool, he won for them the Premier League trophy, and he also took this team to the FA Cup final twice, and Liverpool has kind of finished the season on the 5th position this season in the English Premier League, something that I think is very remarkable for Ancelotti. For the first time coming in from another league to the English Premier League, one of the toughest leagues in the world, and you probably win for them the Premier League trophy, is something that the Liverpool actual hierarchy kind of got actually pleased with his actual work at Liverpool, and finally they have sacked their coach. I'm talking about Ancelotti, and the next successor for him is Bournemouth actual tactician. I'm talking about Antonio Areola. He will be signing a 2 years contract at Liverpool. Remember, under Ancelotti, Liverpool spent a lot of money in the transfer market to sign a number of players in the transfer. They signed players like Alexander Isak from Newcastle United for a region of around £112 million. They signed foreign weights from Bayer Leverkusen in the region of around £116 million. These are Bamba manners, and all this money, Liverpool managed to finish the season on the 6th position. Something that the Liverpool actually fanatics and the hierarchy was not actually really pleased of. They expected Liverpool to be one of the most performing teams in the Premier League, but apparently it was Arsenal and Manchester City that was fighting so hard when they gone, and Liverpool finished the season on a very low note. And the Liverpool legends, they were all not pleased with what actually this guy did at Anfield. That is the reason why they sacked him. Of course, his actual relations with the players kind of broke up with most notably Mo Salah and some other players. That is the reason why they say they are not going to be renewing his contract. But there were rumors that actually circulated earlier on. They said that he was going to be the new manager at Anfield, but apparently they sacked him on the way. Then FC Bournemouth actual manager, I'm talking about Antonio Areola, has been given that permission to come and coach Liverpool. Remember, his actual coaching career started from AEK Larnaca down in Cyprus. That's where he got actually known. Then before actually joining the Spanish teams, I'm talking about Mirandes, not forgetting Real Vallecano. This is where he actually became known in the game of football. Before Bournemouth actually appointed him way back in 2023, that's where Antonio Areola became to be known in the transfer, actually in the English Premier League and in the coaching history. He has been actually linked with a number of teams, including Manchester United, including Chelsea, not forgetting Manchester City. This is the team that has been actually craving so much for his services. But finally, Liverpool has got actually his services. He will be at the helm at Liverpool. But luckily enough, he'll be working with some of the new signings at Liverpool. Players like foreign ways, players like Hugo Ekitike, players like foreign ways, the free punch of this world, and it's meant to be seen how he will be actually adapting at the atmosphere at Liverpool. I'm talking about Antonio Areola. Of course, he is a modern tactician. When you look at him, there's no much difference between him and Jurgen Klopp, former of Liverpool. They are much known of that gang pressing football, that attacking football, that actually is much appreciated by Liverpool fans. It still remains to be seen how this guy will be transforming Liverpool. But I think his coming in will be of a great importance to Liverpool, just because tactically he is very okay, and his style, his style of play also suits the one of Liverpool. That's actually high pressing football is also what Liverpool adores so much in there. So I'm quite sure this guy, if he comes with no pressure, definitely he will be surviving at Anfield. But if the pressure is kind of huge in there, definitely he will not be surviving that. Of course, he'll be working hand in hand with some of his workmates at FC Bournemouth formerly. Of course, he has kind of come with his actual assistant coach from FC Bournemouth. He came with Tony, and he also came with Cooper. Of course, this is where some of his actual former employees at FC Bournemouth. So he came with them at Liverpool, and this is going to be one of the most influential things for him. Of course, at Liverpool, he has actually taken a very big step forward to see that he has gone into one of the historical clubs in England. Liverpool has won the Premier League more than any other team. Liverpool has won the Champions League in the Premier League more than any other team in the Premier League. They have won the FIFA Club World Cup, and they have won the Europa League Cup, the FA Cup. Liverpool is one of the historic clubs in England, followed by Manchester United. This is what I can be in position to tell you lightly about Liverpool. But I can tell you, this guy is coming at Liverpool is going to be a huge one for Team Liverpool. But if he's supposed to come with the intention of coming to win the Premier League trophy, it's going to be another hard actual hassle for him. Of course, when you have coaches like Mikel Arteta, when you have coaches like Enzo Maresca, the Michael Carricks of this world, the Xabi Alonso's of this world, the Zabis of this world at Tottenham Hotspur, this is going to be another hectic one for Antonio Iraola at Liverpool. Manchester Liverpool has got all the machines, all the tilleries, all the players at his disposal. It still remains to be seen how he will be assembling this team. But when you look at his actual contribution at Bournemouth, he has been a flexible coach. He can play back three, he can play back four, he can even play what you call that mixed formation. He is very, very flexible when it comes to formation, and I'm quite sure his actual brain in football will be important to transform Liverpool to some actual extent in there. Then at Manchester United, there's one huge news for Manchester United fans. It's actually all about their players that they've been so much actually fighting so hard to sign in the transfer market. I'm talking about Anderson, formerly of FC Atalanta down in Italy. Manchester United has already secured his services. He will be signing a 4 years contract at the Old Trafford, and it has been reported that he will be signing his contract at the start of June before Manchester United goes out for their actual pre-season tour in there. Of course, Manchester United has actually paid a fee of around £35 million to Atalanta for the Brazilian midfielder, but this player has been actually bought in the services to come and replace the departed player. I'm talking about Casemiro in that actual perspective. And this guy has been so much influential for Atalanta. In the next 3 years, he has been that player that has been actually fighting in that actual midfield position of Team Atalanta. So, such as I've said, his medical will be actually before Manchester United goes for the pre-season, and he is the first signing for Michael Carrick in the ongoing transfer market, something which I think will be very, very, very good in there for Manchester United. Manchester United, they say that they are going to be signing a number of midfielders, around 3 midfielders, so 2 are still remaining. They have already signed this guy already. I'm talking about Anderson from Atalanta. So they already talked about signing already relegated West Ham player. I'm talking about Matias Fernandez. They are saying they also wanted to sign him, but this team has kind of gotten already a replacements lined up for him. So it still remains to be seen what will be transpiring in that perspective. But if you look at the money that West Ham has already actually targeted on his services, they have said that they are going to be signing him on they're going to be selling him on a very lucrative deal of around £80 million for any team that will be interested in his services. That is the money that West Ham United are saying that if another team wants him, that is the money that the team has to pay for his services. That's I'm talking about the player Matias Fernandez. He's a fantastic player for West Ham United. He is an all-rounder player at West Ham. So it still remains to be seen what Manchester United will be important to do. Of course, West Ham already relegated into the championship. In the championship, if Manchester United can be important to pay that money for his services, if then West Ham United goes into the transfer market and sign a number of players to see that these players come in to replace him at West Ham, probably could be seen West Ham United coming back into what we call the Premier League back come 2026, the season. Of course, next season, West Ham United will not be there in the Premier League, but in 2027-2028 season, West Ham United can easily come back to the Premier League in case they sign players. After selling this player, I'm talking about Matias Fernandez. He's a fantastic player. He can play number 6 role. He can play for number 8 role. And he is a work player. Very, very physical. And his work rate is going to be a very, very great addition at Manchester United. Of course, Manchester United already has players like Bruno Fernandes into the team. The Matias the Martis Queens of this world, the Mason Mount of this, the Kobe Miners of this world. So Michael Carrick is looking at that competitiveness in the midfield, and he's looking at the squad depth to see that Manchester United still remains to be competitive. Of course, they will be playing the Champions League. These are some of the players that he thinks if he signs them, they can be of a great importance to his services. And they also talked about Elliot Anderson of Nottingham Forest, but he prefers a move to Manchester City and Enzo Moresca. Of course, after Pep Guardiola announced that he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season, City announced that they have already signed the services of Enzo Moresca, former of Chelsea, and he has been working with Pep Guardiola before joining Chelsea, and he has kind of gone back home at Manchester City, so he will be the head coach for Manchester City in that actual perspective. But Elliot Anderson is saying that he wants to go to Manchester City, not Manchester United. So it still remains to be seen either of Manchester City or Manchester United. One of them will sign this player. I'm talking about Elliot Anderson. Of course, he has already set his eyes on Manchester City. So it's not down to Manchester United actual scouts to convince him to come and play for them in that actual line. In the world of transfers, let me take you through in the gossip column before I call it a quit. Of course, I'm left with a few minutes before I answer in my news anchor. I'm talking about Letas Florence, who will be coming here to give you what is happening in the world of news. Of course, the biggest one is the matters issue. And the number of stories are making headlines in Arua City here. We'll be talking about that actually in a later time. Of course, Florence will be here to give you that in a very short while. I see her preparing so much here in the studios, and we shall be talking much about that at a later time. In the world of gossip column, Aston Villa are aware about the interest of the actual attacking midfield. I'm talking about Morgan Rogers, with a number of clubs already interested in his services, including Arsenal, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, and Manchester City. These clubs are all interested in his services. Morgan Rogers, this guy has been so influential for Manchester, for Aston Villa. It's high time that I think he needs to quit this team of Aston Villa and find another new home. At Aston Villa, you never be winning the Premier League, you never be winning the Champions League, you never be winning meta trophies at Aston Villa. But if he goes on into a bigger club, that's where he can be important to win trophies. We have seen players like Ebrese Ezes of this world, from Crystal Palace now to Arsenal. They've won trophies. He has won the Premier League trophy with the Arsenal already, and they have gone much into the Champions League final matches. They were defeated by Paris Saint-Germain. That is actually a contribution plus for them. A player of his caliber, a player of his magnitude. If I think he goes out of Aston Villa and he goes into actually a team that is bigger enough than Aston Villa, that's where he can be important to make money, and that's where he can be important to win some actual accolades for him in a way of trophies. That's the player I'm talking about, Morgan Rogers. This is according to the Telegraph. He is only 23 years old, still very, very young. He can go in and make money for himself and win more trophies, not at Aston Villa. This is what I can say about his services. In the end on Frankfurt, as German fullback, I'm talking about Nathan Brown, 22, is a subject of interest from Bayern Munich and Arsenal. So it still remains to be seen whether these teams will be important to lure the services of this player. In then Manchester City and Chelsea are interested in Juventus actually. Going back, I'm talking about Andrea Cambiaso, who is only 26 years old. They are already talks about him. Of course, he can play as a right wing back, he can play as a left wing back, and he can as well play as a winger. I'm talking about Andrea Cambiaso. So these two teams are already weighing actual options, whether they can be important to sign him. Of course, his work rate is very, very actually good. He's very, very pacey, and defensively, he is a better player compared to the likes of Rich James, compared to the likes of Marco Corrales of this world. I think if he can be important to join these teams, it can be of a great importance to him. Barcelona are monitoring the Italy international. I'm talking about this player. I'm talking about Andrea Cambiaso. They also monitor his services. This is according to Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy. Then Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain might both want RB Leipzig winger. I'm talking about Jan Diamante, but the German club are calm about the situation as they believe that the 19-year-old will not only be staying in what you call for that year at and I mean at RB Leipzig. So it still remains to be seen whether these teams can be in position to load the services of this player. In the Barcelona boss, Hans Flick and their sporting director Deco and the club president, I'm talking about Jan Laporta, remain keen to sign Manchester United forward. I'm talking about Marcus Rashford on a permanent basis amid this interest from Bayern Munich, Newcastle and Spurs, not forgetting Aston Villa for the 28-year-old England international. Marcus Rashford has actually suffered in the recent days in the transfer market. At Manchester United, he was not be having that's trust from the Manchester United legends, most notably from the legends. The legends have been criticizing him. Ruben Amorim, former at Manchester United, has been criticizing him. Who went on loan to Aston Villa. Then at Aston Villa, Manchester United had to loan him to Barcelona. That's where he redeemed himself. He became very, very much known. He became active. He was given that playing time at Barcelona, and they already talked about him being assigned by Barcelona on permanent basis. But already talks in the Premier League underway for him, and Manchester United are saying that they are going to be selling him on actually much bigger money. In case Barcelona wants him, they have to pay the money that they want. Okay, this is according to what you call the Telegraph down in England. Juventus are looking at a move for 27-year-old Bonham and Netherlands forward. I'm talking about Justin, and they're saying that they wanted to sign this player as an alternative to Morocco international. I'm talking about Brahim Diaz. This is according to Korea. I mean, Gazzetta dello Sport down in Italy. Manchester United have already scouted Juventus and the France defender. I'm talking about Pierre Kalulu, and they're saying that they wanted to sign this player to come and replace the likes of Harry Maguire, who is aging up so much in there, because they are looking at options at the back. Of course, Harry Maguire is already at 33 years old. He will never be that reliable defender. Manchester United will be relying so much in games in there. So they already at targets for Manchester United already. So they are talking about this player. I'm talking about Pierre Kalulu. He is still very, very young, 25 years old, very, very tall, and his game reading is very, very okay. This is according to Correa della Sport down in Italy. Portugal defender, I'm talking about Matheus Fernandes, 21, has been cleared to leave West Ham United after conduct from Manchester United and Arsenal, while Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain are also monitoring the developments. This is according to the team talk in there. Then Aston Villa, Atletico Madrid, then Borussia Dortmund are also interested in Club Brugge, actually German striker. I'm talking about Nicolo. In the he is still very young. 21 years old. He is being touted as one of the prolific strikers in the current generation, and the rumors already been linking him to a number of these clubs. This is according to Athletic. My time is up. Up next will be Letasi Florence with the news in English. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.